guys, Jona here, and you know me for looking at some of the best tools from all around the world. Well, you'll be surprised to hear that some of the best tools are made by YouTubers right here on this platform. And they're not just gimmicks that have been rebranded. These are designed, developed, and made by the YouTubers. Some massive big names you probably know, and also some smaller creators you've probably not heard of, but have made some exceptional tools. Now, I've brought together every single one of them that I could find. This is probably the most comprehensive list of YouTuber hand tools on the internet. What are we going to be doing with all of these amazing tools? Well, they're going to be going in a big old shadow foam build. We're going to be cutting them all into this sheet and ending up with an epic display of the most amazing tools on the platform. And right in the center is going to be our very own YouTube play button, which I think is quite a fitting centerpiece for the build. So let's kick things off with what I would consider a hidden gem, but this is from a pretty big YouTuber called Jason at Bourbon, Moth Woodworking, and that is the Bourbon blade. Now, this thing perfectly represents what this video is about, and it's not just rebranded off-label tools with a name printed on them. This thing was 2 years of development, and it's pretty impressive. Let me show you. So the Bourbon blade is a crossover between a chisel and then a really good quality pocket knife, and that makes it a folding pocket chisel. And you might think this is quite a simple concept, certainly I did, you know, just a folding pocket chisel. Doesn't sound that difficult, but it turns out there's actually quite a lot of design that has to go into one of these things, and it ended up being a collaboration, two YouTubers, the aforementioned Jason at Bourbon Moth Woodworking, and then Jonathan Katz-Moses from KM Tools. We'll put both the YouTube channels down below, and they teamed up with a Danish expert knife maker that helped them create this really, really high quality, heavy, comfortable locking chisel. A few features to note are that it doesn't have like one of these classic liner locks where you push the metal out of the way and then it can fold. This has got a full bar lock, which you definitely need if you're using this as a chisel and then obviously hitting it with a hammer. You don't want this thing accidentally folding on you. It's also got a full metal tang which protrudes out the back, so if you do hit it with a hammer, you're not going to damage the handle. I won't put this through its paces yet, but I've seen some videos of people really putting this thing to the test and absolutely going ham with a hammer on the back of this thing, and it does stand up to a lot of work. Designed in Denmark by, I said, an expert Danish tool maker, this thing is pretty special. Comes with a pretty hefty price tag, I would say, for a pocket knife. In the UK, £120 this cost me. Does seem like quite a lot, but this has been designed for the American market, really, where knives and pocket knives are a lot more common. I think it's pretty commonplace for people to spend that amount of money on a folding pocket knife. For me, though, I think that is a pretty cool tool for any sort of toolkit that you need it to be a bit compact, but to give you a little bit more utility. So that is one of my favorite picks and a bit of a hidden gem to start with. So let's get that on the layout. Now, starting with the US tool, it's only right to move over the border to Canada. And this is a tool from Linus Tech Tips. This is one of the biggest YouTubers on the platform, dealing with all things tech reviews, and he's been on the channel a long, long time. I've been watching Linus for years, and I've always wanted to get my hands on a Linus Tech Tip screwdriver, and this was my excuse. And it did not disappoint. This is a really good quality, heavy-duty screwdriver. It's got a really fine-tooth ratchet. And something I quite liked about it, a bit of a quirky little thing, because I've looked at a lot of ratchets and screwdrivers over the years. This one is set up with lots of precision bits, as you'd expect for someone who's dealing with a lot of tech, a lot of small little screws on the back of devices to change batteries and stuff. But I thought this was quite a nice little addition. It's a 1/4 inch magnet, which you don't see. I don't think I've ever seen a 1/4 inch magnet that fits into the bit for just, if you drop a screw down inside one of your devices, you can go down in there and pull it out. I thought that was a really nice little touch, but it's a really quality tool, this. Really nice handle on it. The little device here to hold all the bits is quite nice. So this thing cost me $70, which works out about £52, which is quite on the high side, I'd say, for a ratcheting screwdriver, but it's a very, very good ratcheting screwdriver. It comes with a lifetime warranty, so if you're comparing it to a Weeher, or another one that I really like, which is the Inbus, which is like a flow drive, this is a similar price point, about 40, 50 quid. But then if you compare it to Snap-on, which I'd say it's very similar in quality. It's got like a knurled grip on the shaft, similar to this one. It's got the similar amount of teeth in it. And obviously you'd pay about 120 quid for a Snap-on one. So I'd say it's a pretty moderate price and a great, lovely design from the Linus Tech Tips team. Next up is another pretty cool tool from Jerry Rig Everything. If you've not seen this guy's channel, he is famous for scratching the screens of phones with a utility knife. And from that, he developed his own. And this is a lovely little knife because it's his own design. Now I've got two in this box here. I've got a pretty special limited edition model here, which I'll show you in a second, but I've also got a classic model. This is the pink model, which I bought for a very special pink toolkit, which we're going to be auctioning off for breast cancer awareness. It's currently being signed by all of the female creators in the space to give it their stamp of approval, and then once it's all complete, we'll be auctioning it off. Now, trying to find pink tools was a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. Most of the brands, if they do launch pink as an option, it's a very limited edition. I had to hunt them down on eBay, but I put together a pretty cool toolkit, and Jerry Rig Rig Everything came in strong with a pink knife that I can include in the kit, and he's got loads of different colours. He doesn't just have pink. It's a metal body, really nice handle. The knives come in and out nice and easy, and it's just a really good quality knife for not a bad price. And you've got Jerry Rig Everything etched on the back. If you're a fan of YouTube, you've been in the space, you've got a toolkit, for 10 quid, you can support one of the creators of the space, get a really good quality tool, and pick it in the colour of your choosing, which you can't get that from any other brands, I'll tell you. I've also got a little thank you card here from Zach himself. He's put, "Thank you, Shadow Foam. Let's work together." I know he wants a bit of foam in his workshop, but he included this because I bought a limited edition model, which is the gold. I've got number 358 out of 1,000, 24 karat gold plated Jerry Rig knife. This thing is pretty special. I thought that was the one I wanted in this wall. So this is a pretty special knife, 24 karat plated, and then like a hard plastic, maybe it's an acrylic or like a polycarbonate or something, but it looks really cool, and it's got this hex pattern on there. I don't think I'm going to be using that one, but it's a great addition to the wall, and I'll be putting links in the description for all of these tools. So the Jerry Rig store, the Linus Tech Tips store, the Bourbon Blades and KM Tool stores, they'll all be linked down below, and all the other tools I show you, I'll put links down in the description. And I've bought all of these from the creators' websites themselves, which is the best place to get them. Next up, following the theme of knives, is Giaco Whatever. Now, he's designed a few products over the years, and the one that he's got available right now is the Kinetic driver. Now, I popped onto Giaco's website and bought this, but I was actually in search of his classic maker knife. If you've never heard of that, it's a little bit of an Easter egg of YouTube right now, because you cannot get hold of them. And lots of people reach out to Giaco asking for a maker knife, including me, and I do have one right here. But let me show you the Kinetic driver, which is his latest tool development. And this thing is a little bit of a beastie screwdriver like nothing you've ever seen. He calls it the Kinetic driver, and essentially it's like a knurled body with a bearing on the head, so it's like a little bit like a watchmaker screwdriver. But this chunk of metal here is really heavy, and it works like a flywheel effect. So if we put a bit in there and spin it, you can see it like freewheels, and it can make it a bit of a pleasure to undo screws quickly. Rather than having a drill or a little electric screwdriver, you can have this, give it a spin, and zhunk, it'll just keep going. It feels like a bit of a crossover from a fidget and a tool. Calls it the Kinetic driver, and it's a pretty quirky little design, which is created by Giaco and sold on his website Placed Atoms, where he has a couple of other cool products that he's developed. So the Kinetic screwdriver is going in the wall, but another thing that's going in the wall from Giaco, and I mean, this is pretty cool as well, the little case it comes in. It's like a molded cork case, and then all of the bits are held in magnetically. You can feel them just like pull into place. Interesting design choice. I really like it. He's got his little logo on the front, but there's like a band. It's like a big old hairband that holds it closed. Not seen that before. And it's a quality little collector's item really, as well as a tool, because it's got the Giaco logo on there. So that's going in the wall. But I reached out to Giaco and I just said, look, I'd love to see the maker's knife. I've seen it on videos, but I've never had my hands on one. So he was kind enough to send us one of his prototype models from his own collection. This is the maker knife, and this is a Diresta model, and more on Diresta later, because Diresta is a legend and he's got some of his own tools. But this here is the maker knife, and it uses the same utility blade as Jerry Rig's knife, but this one slides forwards, locks into place, and it locks really solid. But you can see, you just pull that handle back lightly and it just moves in. It's just really, really smooth. It clicks in, clicks out. It makes it look like, how's it even locking in place? But it's just a really simple design, a really satisfying design as well, and quite unusual, quite a nice product that's been developed by a fellow YouTuber, which I absolutely love. So that is going to go in the wall, and I think we're going to have those looking quite pride of place at the bottom, something like that. I've got something pretty cool to go at the bottom. I feel like the design is going to find its way as we go. Now, the maker knife you can't buy anymore, but Giaco has assured me they will be coming back onto the market at some point in the future. The Kinetic screwdriver, though, you can still get at the Placed Atoms website, and I got mine for £86. Next up is a couple of tools from a YouTuber called Hand Tool Rescue. Now, he does exactly as his name describes, Hand Tool Rescue. He rescues old rusty hand tools. He also manufactures some hand tools, and I went on his website and bought a couple of pretty special ones to add to this wall. We've got a really cool like 5-inch adjustable. It's like this sideways design here, and it's got the Hand Tool Rescue logo on there, which is really cool. And I also picked up a wooden handled 1/4-inch driver, because I just thought a 1/4-inch driver like this would be helpful in any toolkit. And you've got this beautiful wooden handle, but it's a full metal tang with like a metal head on it as well. So I thought that was a great pickup. And then the little adjustable too. It's just great for any toolkit, this. It's got a really nice feel, and it just looks great, doesn't it? As regards price for these, there are a load of different options, different sizes on Hand Tool Rescue's website. This This model here was 45 quid. I paid in dollars, but it converted over to about 45. And then the 1/4-inch driver with the wooden handle came in at about 55 pounds, which I think is pretty good going for a handmade tool, which is a bit of a collector's piece, but also a usable tool to add to your toolkit. Now, next up is one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, and that is Jimmy Diresta. I bought a triple pack of his tools on his website, I Make. Now, this is a pretty special triple pack of tools, but don't let me tell you about it. I met up with Jimmy, and let's see what he has to say. So I picked up 3 of your tools from the website, Jimmy. This is particularly like crazy looking, so tell us a bit of the backstory.
Well, I'll give you the genesis. So
okay, yeah.
Early on, I used to carry an ice pick all the time.
Yeah.
I carried one with a big wooden handle, and it had this big wooden sheath. I got it at a hardware store 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And occasionally I carried it in my pocket. And then it was clunky. And then I started playing on the lathe a lot. And then I pulled the pick out of the wooden handle, and I made a little slim handle like that. And I didn't quite yet make the sheath. I used to always take the ice pick and I'd stick it right through my pants like that.
Oh,
and
no.
that was kind of how it was sheathed in my workshop.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had jeans that were all holes here because I would just stick it in and out for about 6 months.
Old habits die hard. You're putting more holes in them pants now.
Yeah. It don't matter. One day it occurred to me to put a sleeve over it. And then it was just the sleeve like that. And then it was too wimpy. And then something said put the ring on it so that I could pull it out of my pocket.
Yeah.
This one needs a little tuning up. And if you need to tune up your ice pick, you go like this. It tightens it up. You feel how much tighter that is? Give it a shove.
There you go. That's been calibrated now by Jimmy.
Yeah.
That's even better.
It's just so then I started realizing everyday carry is a thing. And then when it came to making knives, I started playing around with making knives. I said, I want to make a simple knife that could be really inexpensive.
Yeah.
And that the user will take and just cut boxes and whatever.
You used to cut those out of saw blades, didn't you? I've seen a few of your like big circular saw blades with these shapes cut out.
And then when Giaco was inventing this thing and coming up with the mechanism and stuff, and I said, the ultimate is just to carry the blade itself, where you don't have to, I don't want to break that, but where you don't have to have any moving parts.
Yeah.
And then it occurred to me to just make this, but make it bigger. So the best thing is I usually keep one of these in my wallet. Not here because I'll get arrested on the airplane. But if I just keep one of these in my wallet with no handle, I find it being extremely useful.
Yeah.
And so then I said, if I make a big one, you could use it as a marking knife with a one-sided bevel. You could use it to cut onions.
It's true.
You could use it to scrape because we make a lot of pizza in my house. Yeah. You got to scrape the dough off the marble.
Yeah.
So we use it for a lot of things. And even though it's really simple, it's got to be 420. It's 420 stainless. It's hardened. And I always tap it on the tip because if it's not hardened, it'll just thud and bend the tip.
Right.
I'll know.
Right. That's a good tip.
So between the 3 of these things, they've really become just simple, iconic tools for my brand.
So it's great meeting Jimmy, and the panel is really starting to fill up now. Personal favourite is this ice pick. I've actually had one of these for 2 years, and it's a very, very handy tool, having an ice pick. You don't know how often you can use this until you've actually got one, so I would recommend anyone getting an ice pick. But even these two, they're just great little novelty tools, but that can still be used. This one is a bit of a homage to a video of Jimmy's where he makes an absolutely massive version of this, and then Jackman Works built a huge Stanley craft knife to house the utility blade. And then this thing is a bit of a homage to the fact that Jimmy takes a lot of circular saw blades and then uses a plasma cutter or water jet cutter to cut knife blanks. And then obviously you can make a handle, create knives, and he does a lot of that on his channel. So these two aren't just tools that you can use, they're also a bit of a piece of history or a part of Jimmy's channel and the journey of his channel, which I think is pretty exciting. But the ice pick is a pretty big standout for me. I think that is just a very handy tool to have. Everyone should have an ice pick, and it's not just for picking at ice. We're making good headway on the layout there. We've got a lot of good stuff, but there's still some bangers left to come. Let me show you a quirky tool by the name of Quirk.
We're through the looking glass here, people.
So this quirky tool here by the name of Quirk was developed by Chris at Four Eyes Furniture, and I would class this as one of the hidden gems because I hadn't heard of it. I stumbled across this tool and I thought $80 or £60 was quite a lot for what is basically a pencil, but I had to get one to find out. It is pretty cool, this thing. It's a very heavy brass mechanical pencil. It works really well. It's nice and seamless. It's got his Four Eyes logo on there. I do think it's a bit of a miss not having Quirk marked on the front of the pencil. That'd be quite cool. Obviously that is the brand of it, and I really like the brand Quirk. That is really up my street, I can tell you. I'm always on the hunt for quirky tools. Captain Quirk, I could say that. But this thing is a really nice quality heavy brass pencil, and it's just got a nice feeling in the hand. I think if you're doing some fine marking work, I think this falls into that bracket, and I've never seen anything like this before by any other maker and creator. So a bit of a hidden gem. I'd love to know if anyone has bought a Quirk and has been using it. My initial thoughts are this thing is a little beauty. It's got a nice weight to it. It's a really smooth little writer, and I can imagine doing some fine woodworking and cabinetry, it'd be like a pleasure to use, marking up your work and having a really fine quality pencil to do it with. It definitely deserves a spot on the board. Now, get your comments below about any of these tools, if you've used, tested them, or if you think there's any YouTuber tools that I've missed. Get your comments below, because you will be entered into a giveaway. Now, you might be wondering what for. Well, let me show you my YouTuber tool, and that is the Autoloader screwdriver. This thing is made in Canada. It was invented by Mark Reynolds, and it's pretty exceptional what it does. You pull the handle back, twist it, push it forwards, and it engages a different 1/4-inch bit. There's 6 bits in the handle, and you just twist the handle, engage the next bit. It's really smooth. You can switch the bits out into 6 of whatever you need, and if you give it a bang, it doesn't engage a bit. It'll just be a 1/4-inch driver, and you can either spin 1/4-inch nuts with it or put another bit in there, and it's just a really nice quality thing. I loved it when I saw the blue Autoloader version. Spoke to Mark, and he's made me a Shadow Foam branded version. If you want one of these, we'll put a link in the description below. So that is a pretty cool, quirky tool I'm adding to the panel, and as I mentioned, I've got 5 of these for the giveaway, and all you've got to do is drop a comment down below, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then we pick 5 random winners. We put the draw over on the Shadow Foam channel. We'll put a link up here. You can go and watch those, and we'll send one of those to you wherever you are in the world. So don't miss out. Drop a comment down below. I read all the comments, and I do reply to as many as I can as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you'll be entered. Now, the board's filling up nicely, but we've still got a good few to go. Next up is something from a friend of the show, James Hobson. He's visited our unit a couple of times, but he's better known as the Hacksmith. On his channel, he's created some amazing things, including the world's only working lightsaber. It's pretty incredible, but he also created a pretty cool tool, because what toolkit doesn't need a lighter? This is Hacksmith's mini saber. I've actually got a founder edition that Hacksmith sent me, but this is the one I picked up from the website. It's got a nice red button on it, which is my favorite color, so I thought, gotta get this one. And not only has it got such a huge flame in it to make it the lightsaber effect, but also it's got different phosphorus tips to make it green or red or blue. And you can, you know, if you're light side, dark side, whatever you are, you can get different color handles. And this thing has been developed by Hacksmith, which I just think is amazing. This thing didn't exist until a YouTuber who's creating videos off their own back decided to make this a reality, make this thing happen. It's also a pretty exciting collectible that actually has a use. Most collectibles just sit in a cabinet doing nothing, but this thing can actually be used, which I love. Sent me back £89 this one on the Hacksmith website, which I think for a working mini saber designed by the Hacksmith with his brand on can't be bad. Now, Hacksmith has got a bunch of other tools on his website and cool products. Another one I'd love to mention is this Make It Real notebook, which is a personal favorite of mine, because he's boiled into this book what in the UK we call a Zeus book. So anyone in engineering in the UK will know the Zeus book, and essentially it's tables and charts, thicknesses, bolt sizes, if you're drilling out, what size drill, if you're going to tap a hole, what size drill to use. All of those charts and gauges are usually in the Zeus book, but Hacksmith has put it all in here, including like periodic tables and some material properties stuff, all in this gridded notebook, which is really high quality. Won't be putting it in the wall, but what I will be putting in the wall is the pen that comes with it, because again, it's a quirky tool. It's a stylus, it's a tape measure, it's a pen, and it's a level all in one, and I think that can sit proudly next to my lightsaber.
Thanks for the real working lightsaber.
So this tool is from another creator that I wasn't aware of. I found these guys in my research, and I picked up their Damascus steel marking knife because it just really stood out as something interesting, different, and obviously they've solved a problem with something beautiful. So this is a Damascus steel marking knife, and this just stood out as something that was beautiful, and I wanted to add it to the collection. It was £77, so quite an investment for a marking knife, but as you can see, that is pretty beautiful, and I wanted to include it, add it to the panel. Marking knives are essentially for doing fine cabinetry, if you're doing dovetails. The thickness of a pen is not tight enough, it's not detailed enough. So using a marking knife, the guys who are using this can just get everything a lot finer, a lot tighter, and I just thought I couldn't do this video and not include this beautiful Damascus steel marking knife. And for me, I was fascinated about the process of getting this Damascus steel effect and the finish that they get. So an absolute beauty that I wanted to include in the wall, and I'd love to know if any of you guys have picked up one of these. So make sure you drop a comment and you will be entered into the giveaway. So that's the marking knife, and from one marking knife to another, let me show you a British-made marking knife from Matt Estlea. So I've had a marking knife from Matt for about 2.5 years. I think I bought mine, and I use it for detail logo work on some of the Shadow Foam builds that we do, because the knife that comes in our cutting kit is great for cutting around the tools and cutting down deep. But if I'm cutting a logo, I don't have to cut very deep, but I've got a lot of curves and shapes to do, and having a thick, stout scalpel is a lot easier. Now this thing I've already seen, and it's something special. I didn't even know he could offer other colors other than just like the natural wood styles. So when this thing turned up, I was pretty blown away, and it is a really chunky handled scalpel, and you can put any scalpel blade size in here that you want. And this is a maple burl. Now, I'm no expert on timber, but Matt told me this is a maple burl that's been stabilized with purple resin in a vacuum chamber. So we've had the wood dipped in some purple dye, sucked all the air out of the vacuum chamber, which means all of the tiny little air pockets and any air that's trapped in the wood has been sucked out, and then that's been replaced by the purple resin, then left to dry. So even if I cut through this, it'd be like purple all the way through. And this thing is just that nice width in your hand for cutting detail and doing detail work, and it is just pretty exceptional. Every knife that Matt makes is different. He makes them out of all different types of woods, all different colors, and the prices do vary a little bit because some of the exotic woods are harder to find, the price is a little bit higher. But as I say, we'll put a link to all these different creators down below. Matt Estlea's website will be in there, you can have a look. But the purple one is going in the wall. So, not got many left now. Next up, I finally got a tool offering from friend of the show and friend of mine, Mr. Furze, Colin Furze. You probably know who he is, digging a huge bunker in his back garden and a tunnel under his house, and now a massive bunker on his front drive. And he's just released to his store a 10mm spanner. Now this is pretty innocuous, but it's exciting to know what's to come. I wanted to include a jar of his dirt. I collected this myself from Colin's drive build, and he does sell jars of dirt every now and then in different colour batches, and I was tempted to include that in the wall, but it's all about tools, so I was glad to see the 10mm spanner from Colin. There is more to tell you about this. Cue Mr. Furze. I've been waiting for you to launch a tool, Colin, and I wouldn't say it's a strong start, but it's a good start, 10mm spanner. You got any other tools coming?
Look, you say it's not a strong start, all right? But we all need 10mm spanners. We all lose 10mm spanners.
Yeah.
And the story is I've had this 10mm spanner on my keyring since I was like 14, 15. Right. And that's the significance of it.
Takes that hard life. Have you re-welded that as well?
Yes, and the reason why it got snapped and blown off is because I went to undo a battery terminal on the van, and then that touched the positive and blew the whole thing to bits. And I think that caused a load of arcs.
But that's the OG one.
This is the OG one. The only time this is not in my pocket when I get on a plane. So we went through a period where they're like, you can't take that on.
Right, yeah.
It's just going to stab somebody on the plane.
Well, it's quite ominous fucking shape in it, a spanner. You're going to be doing some more stuff with Boxer, aren't you?
Yes, going to do some more stuff. So when the ramp's built and they can finally get some stuff, they're going to kit it out with all like drawers and stuff. Hopefully,
some foam will
come down into them, and we can do another thing like that. So, but yeah, they were great. They sorted it all out, sorted all the packaging out. They will be another batch of these available at some point.
Yeah, we've got a few, but yeah.
But due to the political issues in the Red Sea, everything now has to come around the Horn of Africa. It takes a lot longer.
Get on your soapbox about that. Crazy. Always a pleasure and a laugh catching up with Colin. He has got some mad stuff going on. I'm excited to see some more shadow foam in his bunker. But we're not finished there. And this I collected from Ben Crow at Crimson Guitars when I was down visiting their workshop, organising his backdrop with some shadow foam. This is Crimson Guitars Centre Finding Ruler. And this thing is a little beauty because sometimes it's the simplest tools that can be the most helpful. You can get this at the Crimson Guitars website along with a whole host of Lutheran tools. Now, I could have picked out any of the guitar making tools and they would have been quite nice in this panel. They'd look quite cool, but I think this would benefit anyone's toolkit. And essentially, rather than measuring left to right, you can find the center of something by literally laying the ruler over the top, finding the equal measurement on both sides, and then you can find the center point. It's just a really handy ruler and a really nicely made ruler from Crimson Guitars. And I wanted to include it in our wall, but we're not quite finished because I've got a very special honorable mention from Bauforum24, which is the YouTube channel that shouted us out. One of our very early videos of me hunting for German tools was reacted to by Bauforum24. And those guys are also big Zollstock collectors. And if you don't know what a Zollstock is, it basically means inch stick in Germany. And it's a 2-meter folding ruler. I love them. You don't see them very much in the UK and not so much in the USA really, but in Germany and across Europe, these folding rulers are really, really popular and every brand has pretty much got one. And they're just great quality. I really like them. And I had to launch a shadow foam version, which is going to be going in the wall. But Bauforum also had a Zollstock, and from their website, I picked up 6 because they've got in there Team Zollstock, and then on the back they've got Haben ist besser als brauchen. I've probably butchered that, but that means having is better than needing, and which is like very similar to an English phrase, which I love, which is better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. But that's the shortened German version. Now I bought 6 because one is for my Zollstock collection, which puts me to 60, rounds out my collection to a nice even 60. And then I got an extra 5, which rounds this out into a really nice little bundle of a shadow foam auto loader and then a Team Zollstock, which I love. So shout out to Bauforum. I love the reaction video you made of our German tool hunt. Thanks for that. Now last but certainly not least to the panel is a couple of items from friends of the show, Matt and Johnny at Brothers Make. They are making loads of products out of recycled plastic, and they actually make one of our products, the foam smoothing spinner, which you put in a drill and then smooth out the foam with. They're all made by Matt and Johnny down in Bournemouth, out of recycled plastic, which is fantastic. And you can get those on our website, so we'll put a link in the description of those. But a couple of products I've had off them over the years are going in this wall. I bought this pen off them 2.5 years ago, and what toolkit is complete without a really good pen? And this is made out of recycled plastic in red and black. I love this thing, and it's going in the wall. And a little gift they brought along at the last Make Essential was a bottle opener made with recycled material. I think they spun this up on the lathe, and it's just a little beauty that I wanted to add into the wall. Another product I love of theirs is their loop sunglasses. These things are made out of recycled plastic in a couple of different colours, and I've got every colour of these. They've got a couple of colours of these on the website. The standouts for me have got to be the ones made out of Blu-ray cases, like a really nice vibrant blue colour. But the loops for me are a personal favourite, but not quite a tool, so I will settle for the pen and the bottle opener in the wall. So that's the panel, and I'm pretty happy with the layout. The one thing that's missing from this layout is all of these creators' signatures, and I think to really complete this build off, I want every one of these creators to sign a plate for me that I can put in the wall. And to start us off, I've actually already got a couple of signatures. When James was here, the Hacksmith, he signed a plate for me, which can go quite comfortably next to the mini Saber and the plate. And also Ben Crow signed a plate for me, which can go happily next to his ruler. Now I've got 13 YouTubers represented on this panel, so it's going to be a bit of a quest to get all their signatures, but I'm sure I can do it. You can do it! So I've got a load more signatures to collect, but before we do that, let's complete the layout and get all of this cut into the shadow foam. And if you didn't know what shadow foam is, basically you just place the items where you want them to go on the foam, cut around the shape, peel back the foam, and you can create amazing tool organizers exactly how you want it in any of 10 colors. So with all that being said, let's get cutting. And there we have it, the best YouTube maker tools on the internet. And that's a pretty conclusive list, I would say, because I did do a lot of research to find all of these. A good amount of them I knew beforehand, and a couple of them I had already before putting this video together. But a couple of them were new on me, and I am conscious that I may have missed one or two, so I don't want to leave anyone out. And I'm always happy to discover new tools, especially from YouTubers and creators who are solving problems, creating tools. I want to know about it. So let me know down in the comments, and you will be entered into the giveaway then. And who wouldn't want to win what is, I would say, the quirkiest of interesting YouTuber tools, and that is the Shadow Foam Autoloader, made in Canada, and you just twist it, engage the next screwdriver bit. I love it. I think that's really cool. And a brand new Zollstock to my collection is from Bauforum24, who've got a Zollstock, and they had to make the list because I love it, and I got an extra 5 for the giveaway. So drop a comment and then you'll be entered. The prize draw is done over on our Shadow Foam channel. We'll put a link up here. You can go and check that out. Make sure you subscribe with the notifications on, and then you won't miss prize draw when we go for it. Now, if any of these tools caught your eye and you're interested in grabbing one, I've put a link to all of the different YouTubers' own web stores down below. Go and support a YouTuber by buying a tool from them, and let me know in the comments if you do. So with all that being said, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it and discovered some new tools that you didn't know existed from some new YouTubers as well, because all of these creators don't just make tools, they also make some epic videos. So we'll put links to all their web stores, a link to their channel. It's all down in the description. Go and check them out. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.